1. Shane van Gisbergen's epic NASCAR weekend sweep in Chicago. 2. Shane van Gisbergen dominates NASCAR Chicago Cup Series 2024, weekend sweep. 3. Shane van Gisbergen dominates Chicago NASCAR Double. Street race highlights. 1. Shane van Gisbergen's epic NASCAR weekend sweep in Chicago. The Kiwi king of NASCAR street racing dominates Chicago again, but is this the final chapter? By racing correspondent. July 6, 2025, 5:46 p.m. Eastern Time. Chicago white smoke billowed through downtown Chicago as Shane van Gisbergen's tires screamed against the pavement in a victorious celebration. In a moment of pure jubilation, the New Zealand ace punted a signed rugby ball into the roaring crowd. For Chicago race fans, this victory dance has become something of a tradition when Van Gisbergen comes to town. In what many insiders believe might be the final NASCAR event on Chicago's challenging downtown circuit, Van Gisbergen achieved something extraordinary on Sunday, a complete weekend domination by capturing the NASCAR Cup Series race to complement his Saturday Xfinity Series triumph. What an absolutely incredible weekend for our team. "I'm just the fortunate guy behind the wheel," Van Gisbergen remarked with characteristic humility. But fortune has little to do with his remarkable accomplishment. The 36-year-old Kiwi etched his name in NASCAR history by becoming only the second driver ever to claim both the Xfinity and Cup races from pole position in a single weekend. The only other driver to achieve this rare feat. Kyle Busch at Indianapolis in 2016. For casual fans, this means Van Gisbergen not only started at the front of both races but converted those advantageous positions into victories, a demonstration of both qualifying speed and race day execution that's exceedingly rare in motorsport. This victory represents Van Gisbergen's third Cup Series win, establishing him as the most successful foreign-born driver in NASCAR's Premier Division. His growing collection includes this Chicago street race triumph and a previous 2025 victory on Mexico City's road course just last month. In my estimation, he's simply the most talented road course stock car driver I've ever witnessed, declared Trackhouse Racing owner Justin Marks with unmistakable pride. When his NASCAR career eventually concludes, I firmly believe history will recognize him as the greatest road course competitor this sport has ever produced. Van Gisbergen's NASCAR journey began remarkably in this very city. Marks recruited him from Australia's Supercars Championship for NASCAR's inaugural Chicago street race experiment in 2023. The result was historic. Van Gisbergen became the first driver since Johnny Rutherford in 1963 to win in their Cup Series debut appearance. "This place has completely transformed my career trajectory," Van Gisbergen reflected, gesturing toward Chicago's iconic skyline. "When I initially came for that first race, I had zero intentions of pursuing additional NASCAR opportunities. The thought of competing full-time in NASCAR wasn't even on my radar. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite Van Gisbergen's incredible success on the Chicago circuit, rumors persist that NASCAR may not return to downtown Chicago next season, making this potentially the final chapter in what has been a career-defining venue for the New Zealander. In Sunday's race, Ty Gibbs claimed the runner-up position while Tyler Reddick completed the podium in third. NASCAR veterans Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch rounded out the top 5 finishers. "My crew executed a brilliant strategy that positioned me to challenge for victory," Gibbs explained afterward. "Everything aligned perfectly today, resulting in an excellent finish. We're obviously pleased, though naturally we would have preferred challenging for the win." Michael McDowell, who shared the front row with Van Gisbergen at the start, quickly seized the lead in the early stages. McDowell dominated the opening segment, capturing Stage 1 honors and leading 31 laps before a devastating throttle cable malfunction derailed his promising run, a heartbreaking turn of events for a driver who had shown race-winning pace. The decisive moment came with 16 laps remaining when Van Gisbergen overtook Chase Briscoe for the lead position. As atmospheric conditions shifted dramatically with fog and rain descending upon downtown Chicago, Van Gisbergen masterfully controlled the race through to the checkered flag. A.J. Allmendinger secured 6th place, with Ryan Preece following in 7th. Defending champion Ryan Blaney, who claimed the second stage victory, ultimately finished 12th. "Overall, I'd consider it a reasonably successful outing," Blaney commented. "Capturing that stage win was definitely a highlight. Championship points leader William Byron experienced an abbreviated race day due to clutch issues. The Hendrick Motorsports star maintains a narrow 13-point advantage over Chase Elliott in the season standings, a margin that could easily disappear with one poor result. Drama unfolded early when Carson Hocevar triggered a significant multi-vehicle accident after colliding with the wall and spinning between turns 10 and 11. The chain reaction crash collected several prominent drivers including Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, and Will Brown. "I had zero visibility until the very last instant," Keselowski explained in the aftermath. "I reduced speed and actually thought I would manage to stop safely, but unfortunately I was struck from behind." That's the inherent challenge with these narrow street circuits. Sometimes there's simply nowhere to escape. The race had significant implications for NASCAR's inaugural in-season tournament, with Ty Dillon and Tyler Reddick advancing to the third round after Keselowski and Hocevar failed to complete the event. In a remarkable tournament storyline, Dillon, seeded 32nd and considered a massive underdog, eliminated Keselowski after previously shocking top-seeded Denny Hamlin during last weekend's Atlanta event. Additional drivers securing advancement included Gibbs, Preece, Alex Bowman, John Hunter Nemechek, Zane Smith, and Eric Jones. 4 newcomers to the sport. This 5-race, bracket-style competition culminates with the eventual champion receiving a substantial $1 million prize, adding an exciting tournament dimension to the regular NASCAR season. Tension flared between Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace as they aggressively battled for position in the closing stages. Bowman, who won Chicago's 2024 race, prevailed in their head-to-head matchup despite significant contact between their vehicles, a continuation of their contentious history at this venue from last season. "That contact wasn't something I anticipated or expected to be raced in that manner, but it happened," Bowman remarked diplomatically. "We simply need to move forward and remain focused. I'm not entirely certain what alternative approach I could have taken." History was made further back in the field as Katherine Legge delivered her career-best Cup Series performance with a 19th place result. This achievement marks the first time a female driver has finished inside the top 20 in NASCAR's Premier Series since Danica Patrick accomplished the feat at Texas Motor Speedway in November 2017. Legge also made history this weekend as the first woman to qualify for a Cup race on Chicago's downtown course. The NASCAR Cup Series continues its schedule at California's scenic Sonoma Raceway on July 13, where the challenging road course will once again put drivers' technical skills to the test. Does Van Gisbergen's dominance on road courses signal a new era for international drivers in NASCAR? Should the sport continue its urban street racing experiment in Chicago despite logistical challenges? And with the championship battle tightening, which traditional oval specialists will need to improve their road course performance to remain contenders? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 2. Shane van Gisbergen dominates NASCAR Chicago Cup Series 2024, weekend sweep. Prepare to be absolutely stunned, because what we just witnessed in Chicago wasn't just a win, it was a full-blown masterclass in racing dominance that will be talked about for years to come. Shane van Gisbergen didn't just win the NASCAR Chicago Cup Series race, he unequivocally completed a total weekend sweep on the treacherous Chicago street course, cementing his legend on the unforgiving downtown circuit. And this is the part most people miss. This wasn't just any victory, it was a powerful statement from a driver who seems to have a unique, almost mystical connection with these urban tracks. This recent triumph marked van Gisbergen's second victory of the current season and a remarkable third career Cup win overall. As the star driver for Trackhouse Racing, he's no stranger to the taste of victory in the Windy City. In fact, he famously claimed victory in Chicago back in 2023, making history as the first driver since the legendary Johnny Rutherford, who achieved the feat in the second qualifying race at Daytona way back in 1963 to win his Cup Series debut. Talk about joining an elite club. Chasing van Gisbergen across the finish line was Ty Gibbs, who secured a commendable second place, with Tyler Reddick rounding out the top 3. The ever-consistent Denny Hamlin and the formidable Kyle Busch completed a formidable top 5, showcasing the intense competition at the pinnacle of NASCAR. What truly set this weekend apart for van Gisbergen, a celebrated 3-time champion in Australia's fiercely competitive Supercars series, was his undeniable dominance. The 36-year-old New Zealand native kicked off his incredible run by winning the Xfinity Series race from the pole position on Saturday. Not content with just that, he also emerged as the top qualifier for the main Cup race, signaling his intent for a clean sweep from the very beginning. The early stages of the Cup race saw Michael McDowell, who started alongside Van Gisbergen on the front row, quickly seize the lead. McDowell showcased his prowess by winning Stage 1 and impressively leading for 31 laps before his race was unfortunately derailed by an unforeseen technical issue, a throttle cable problem. This mechanical hiccup opened the door for Van Gisbergen to reclaim his rightful place at the front. Van Gisbergen finally regained the lead with just 16 laps remaining, making a decisive pass on Chase Briscoe. As a thick fog began to roll into downtown Chicago, adding an almost cinematic atmosphere to the proceedings, and with thunderstorms ominously forecasted, Van Gisbergen demonstrated masterful control, expertly navigating the challenging conditions to dominate the rest of the race. Further down the leaderboard, A.J. Allmendinger secured a respectable 6th place, with Ryan Preece finishing 7th. Ryan Blaney, who had earlier won the second stage, ultimately crossed the line in 12th position. Now, let's talk about some of the dramatic moments that unfolded on the street course. William Byron's day, unfortunately, came to an abrupt halt due to a clutch problem. This was particularly significant as the Hendrick Motorsports driver had started the day atop the series standings, highlighting how quickly fortunes can change in racing. After McDowell's early lead, the race saw a significant incident involving Carson Hocevar, who caused a multi-car crash after hitting the wall and spinning out between turns 10 and 11. This unfortunate pileup collected several prominent drivers, including Brad Keselowski, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, and Will Brown. Speaking about the incident, Keselowski candidly stated, "I didn't see it until the last second. I slowed down and I actually felt I was gonna get stopped and then I just kind of got ran over from behind. It's just a narrow street course and sometimes there's nowhere to go." This quote perfectly encapsulates the inherent risks and lack of escape routes on street circuits, making such incidents almost inevitable. But here's where it gets controversial and perhaps a bit surprising. Ty Dillon and Tyler Reddick advanced into the third round of NASCAR's inaugural in-season tournament largely due to Keselowski and Hocevar's inability to finish the race. This tournament adds another layer of intrigue to the season, with significant stakes. Notably, Ty Dillon, seeded at number 32, pulled off a major upset by eliminating Keselowski, especially after he had already defeated top-seeded Denny Hamlin last weekend in Atlanta. This bracket-style format certainly provides an exciting twist to the traditional championship battle. Joining Dillon, Reddick, and others in advancing were Gibbs, Preece, Alex Bowman, John H. Nemechek, Zane Smith, and Eric Jones. The winner of this unique 5-race, bracket-style tournament stands to take home a hefty $1 million prize, adding incredible financial incentive to the already fierce competition. In another notable head-to-head battle within the tournament, Alex Bowman, who was the 2024 champion on the downtown street course, emerged victorious over Bubba Wallace. Their encounter was particularly fiery, with Bowman and Wallace making contact as they fiercely battled for position late in the race. This wasn't their first rodeo, as they also tangled in Chicago last year, suggesting a burgeoning rivalry. And this is the part most people don't realize. Long before NASCAR transformed downtown Chicago into a high-octane racetrack, the city already held a profound place in American motorsports history. Chicago was, in fact, home to the nation's very first auto race and boasts decades of rich motorsports heritage, a narrative beautifully preserved and retold by local Chicago racing historian Stan Kalwasinski. This historical context truly enriches the understanding of why Chicago is such a fitting, albeit challenging, venue for NASCAR. What are your thoughts on Shane van Gisbergen's incredible dominance? Do you believe the in-season tournament adds genuine excitement or unnecessary complexity to the NASCAR season? And given the controversial incidents on the narrow street course, do you think this format is truly sustainable for future races, or does it pose too many risks for drivers? Let us know in the comments below. We want to hear your take. 3. Shane van Gisbergen dominates Chicago NASCAR double. Street race highlights. The roar of high-speed engines once again echoed through the canyons of downtown Chicago this past weekend, As the city hosted the third annual NASCAR Street Race. This unique event transformed the urban landscape into a thrilling race circuit, drawing crowds and sparking conversations across the city. While the spectacle delivered on adrenaline and excitement, it also marked a significant moment, the conclusion of the current 3-year contract, leaving the future of NASCAR in the Windy City hanging in the balance. Sunday saw the main event, the NASCAR Cup Series, officially known as the Grant Park 165, hit the temporary track with full force. Fans flocked back to the area in and around Grant Park for another day packed with professional racing action. Adding a touch of local sports royalty to the proceedings, Chicago Bulls legend Derrick Rose served as the esteemed Grand Marshal, signaling the start of the high-stakes competition. Drivers navigated a challenging 2.2-mile course featuring 12 turns, intricately woven through the heart of Grant Park and running alongside the iconic Doosable Lakeshore Drive. The stunning backdrop of the Chicago skyline provided a truly unforgettable setting, a visual spectacle unlike any other on the NASCAR calendar. Emerging victorious from the weekend's intense competition was New Zealand's own Shane van Gisbergen. Demonstrating absolute dominance, van Gisbergen swept both major races, securing the win in the Cup Series on Sunday after also claiming victory in the Xfinity Series race held on Saturday. This marked his second consecutive Xfinity Series win on the Chicago street circuit, solidifying his reputation as a master of this demanding urban layout. As the checkered flag waved on Sunday, the process of returning the city streets to normal began almost immediately. Cleanup crews were already hard at work, preparing for the phased reopening of closed downtown streets over the next few days. Notably, the northbound lanes of Doosable Lakeshore Drive were anticipated to be accessible again by 6 a.m. on Monday morning. According to reports from ABC7, the sentiment among those interviewed was overwhelmingly positive, with everyone expressing that the event was a resounding success. Fans shared their enthusiasm for the unique experience.